Hey guys, my name is Matimio, and many of you probably heard recently that Battlefield 5 is to be rumored to be set during World War I. There was a store that basically leaked the information that it was going to be set during this time period, and what I want to do today is talk about the many reasons why that's probably not going to be the case. I know there's a lot of people out there hoping that they're going to get a World War I Battlefield, but from what we've seen from DICE and EA over the last couple of years with their past Battlefield games, I would be very surprised if they actually took the risk to go back to that time period and kind of go to the reasons why I just do not think that this is going to happen. And so first and foremost, this would be a giant deviation from where the franchise has been heading over the last couple of years. You look back at Battlefield 3, and really the best example is Battlefield 4, there is an insane amount of weapon variety and weapon customization. Battlefield 4 has over 100 weapons, and while there's a lot of people out there that say that that's too much, and I'm kind of in this category, there is so much weapon variety in that game to balance all of them and make them feel unique and distinctive from all the others is going to be impossible. And so there's a lot of people out there that are hoping that they kind of tone down on the weapon variety so that they can find that nice weapon balance. But we go to World War I, and that is the complete opposite end of the spectrum. There was not a lot of weapon diversity during this time period. You had some bolt-action rifles, there was revolvers and magnums, and that's about it. There are a couple of exceptions here and there, but for the most part, soldiers on the front lines were using bolt-action rifles. And while I know that some of you are probably thinking right now, that sounds amazing. Like, I love bolt-action rifles, I love the gameplay that stems from everyone using kind of the same weapon. It levels the playing field so that everyone is really just down to their individual skill to succeed, but that is such a massive deviation from what Battlefield has kind of been heading. And so just from this very standpoint, the weapon variety just doesn't make sense for why they would go back to World War I. Not only that, but there just wouldn't be the weapon customization that we've grown to expect from this franchise, or really any AAA shooter that comes out in 2016. Back in World War I, if you were using a bolt-action rifle, you were using the iron sights. You weren't slapping on a Coyote red dot, you weren't using a ACOG scope, an Iron V, a holographic scope, because it hadn't been invented. And while I know that there were snipers in World War I, there were some higher optics, and there was some attachments that you could put onto your weapon to change the way that it functioned. Like, don't get me wrong, I know that there was some customization, but in general, it's nowhere near as extensive as what we have in modern times. And so it's because of these two reasons for why I just don't see it happening. That doesn't mean that I don't want to have a World War I spin-off Battlefield game. Like, imagine the graphical fidelity of the Frostbite engine, let's say like Star Wars Battlefronts, but in the Battle of Verdun. Like, that could be incredible. Like, that could be an amazing game. But the fact that this is the next big Battlefield game, Battlefield 5, and it's such a deviation from where the franchise has been heading with relation to the weapon diversity and the customization, I just don't see it happening. The only way that I see this being a possibility is if DICE puts a alternate history or a science fiction spin on the entire thing. There were, of course, weapons being developed during World War I that never saw the light of day. They were prototypes. These prototypes could give DICE the creative freedom and the wiggle room to create some weapons that would make sense during this time period. I'm not talking about laser guns or anything like that when I'm talking about science fiction. I'm talking more about guns that would actually make sense during World War I, but weren't actually used on the battlefield. This could also extend on over into the customization. Yeah, there may not have been these scopes during this time period, but they were prototypes. This is an alternate history of World War I, and so they kind of skirt around the problem. It's a possibility, but I find it to be a slim one. And then the final reason comes down to maps. World War I was all about trench warfare. There were, of course, a few exceptions here and there, but in general, the famous battles, like the Battle of Verdun, was soldiers sitting in trenches for months and running out into the killing fields trying to push the front line, not really having a whole lot of progress there, and then running back to the safety of their trenches. That's what combat was all about. When I think Battlefield, I think of Conquest. Conquest has been the bread and butter of this series forever now, and it just wouldn't lend itself to trench warfare. It just wouldn't. I mean, you got one side fighting against the other, people hunkered down in their trenches, maybe peeking their head out every once in a while to take a shot at the enemy, and that just doesn't sound like Conquest. And while it could be really fun for Rush, like if their entire game revolved around Rush, it could be a lot of fun, Once again, it's a deviation from where the franchise has been going. Some of you might argue, well then why don't they just go to the lesser known battles that didn't revolve around trenches? And they could do that, but then I have to ask the question, why are they exploring World War I then if they are not going through the battles that everyone expects that they're going to experience in a World War I game? But yeah, guys, those are the reasons why I just don't see this happening for Battlefield 5. I don't want to sound like a negative Nancy because I know that people out there got really excited by this news. Even I would love for them to explore a spin-off Battlefield game that used the Frostbite engine. Like, that could be really cool, but hopefully I've gone into detail and gone over some reasons that made sense for why this would be very surprising for Battlefield 5. But yep, that's about it for today's video, guys. Let me know your thoughts. Do you agree with me? Do you completely disagree with me? Do you think that this is concrete evidence and it's absolutely going to happen? Let me know down below. But yep, until tomorrow, have a good one and take it easy.